was saying is that I wanted to explain our altar, a little bit about the elements that are there and why they were chosen. But what I wanted to say was that I left the Catholic Church in the middle 90s because I was going through a divorce and realized they really had nothing to offer anyone who was going through a change like that in a state of California where you cannot even stop it if you wanted to. So it made no sense to me. And when I tried to explain it to my children, they looked at me and I looked at them and I said, this doesn't make any sense, does it? And they shook their head and I said, okay, forget it then. We're letting this one go. So one of the first gatherings or communities that I was attracted to was called The Gathering, and it was held by Little Crow, who was the Lakota Sioux. He was a very wise man, and I guess he was a substance abuser or alcoholic or something like that. So he started off his gathering for people with those type of needs first, and then it grew into a bigger gathering that we had and met together in Garden Grove at one of the school halls. He's already passed into the great hunting grounds above, or wherever, but he was a very wise man. And the Lakota Sioux have some really basic beliefs, which I think are so fundamental. One is that everything makes a difference. It doesn't matter whether you made a mistake or did something right or wrong in your eyes, but everything you do makes a difference. From the smallest child, from the smallest insect, to the largest mammal on earth, everything makes a difference. And the other one was, everything is sacred. It doesn't matter if it's a piece of trash or litter on the street, where it came from, the people that helped to make it, all those things make it sacred. So everything in the world is sacred. And the trouble is in this world, we've been so separated from nature that we forget our relationship to her. And that's why I think I said at the beginning, if all the insects in the world disappeared in one day, we would only have about 3 months to live. The world would start to fall apart and everything decompensates just for the smallest beings or creatures disappearing all at once, all insects. Gives us 3 months to live. But if all the people in the world disappeared in one snap, the world would thrive. It would grow, it would be nourished, it would become green again, the waters will flow, it'll rain when it should, if all the people disappear. So that's how important we are. At the same time, in nature, all creatures are given their boundaries. That's what you heard yesterday in the video on YouTube. All creatures in nature have their boundaries. They can't go beyond that, but that makes them very high advanced beings because they were created to be one thing and they have lived up to their purpose all the way to the end of their life. And they don't question it, they just do it. They are who they are. The cat will always be a cat. A dog will never try to be a cat. But at the same time, their frequency level can only go so high. We're the only ones that can go from 0 to unlimited bounds in frequency and vibration because we are human. We are part of the source that has the consciousness that creates. We are all creators. So, knowing this, you have to ask yourself, is there something to not be grateful for by just being alive? Is it not enough that we are alive? Because we have no bounds. Our mind has no bounds. Our reality is what we make it. We have a collective reality that we in America, California, Orange County, we have agreements of what things look like and how they should be. So that's what is there. Even when one of us is asleep, that reality is there, that foundational reality. But your reality, when you close your eyes, nothing exists for you. But when you open your eyes, everything becomes whatever it is you see. So it's important to try and realize how much power is in your hands, and to respect where that power comes from. So this altar is dedicated to the elements that came first. In all creation of any planet, any world that exists to someday hold beings that think and are part of the source, it always starts with fire, earth, water, and air. Those are the first creations of any planet. After that, we have, and it all comes from the ether, which is what we call the void, where supposedly nothing exists. Ether is the highest form of water, the highest frequency form of water, and it actually is a material from which all things are created. Let's see, so we have the four elements on the altar, and from there, what came next is north, south, east, and west. The four directions. They're not just ways you can turn your body. They're actually forces of nature. So the north holds for us the accumulation of knowledge, integration of that knowledge, the wisdom that we can access and turn to when we wonder what we should do next. That is the power held in the north. Let's see, from north we can go to the east. The east is the power of rebirth and beginnings and new things. The east is where the sun rises, so that's the power of the east. From the east we can go south. South is the power of the sun and growth. So this is where a child, once born, flourishes or gets malnourished, depending on what is in their surroundings. But this is the growth part where the person is moving from one stage through all the different stages. It happens in the power of the south. And then that leaves us the power of the west, which is the endings, the sundown, the sunset, the ending of a day, and the start of a new life. So all four of the directions need to be given respect to. All four elements need to be given respect to. And then the five elements of the body are also there. Fire, wood, let's see, I'll do that. Fire, earth, metal, water, wood, and back to earth. All those are there. I collected rainwater in that little pitcher. I put it out around midnight. I thought it would be nice and full, and there's probably 2 tablespoons in it. That's California. But it is pure water, so it doesn't have all the acid rain from all the pollution that was in there. It was raining really hard in Huntington Beach. I should put it out. So there's a little bit of water there. That's the area. So that's what's there. Oh, and the 4-6, those are the 4 directions. That was given to me by one of the elders at the gathering. They made me one of their sisters. I got this. All the sisters wore a shawl that was made by one of the members of the church. And my shawl is black with all these wildly colored dots on them. Kind of wild, but it's so big, I just don't want to drag it up here. And then all the brothers of the gathering wore blankets. And the reason why the blanket, Little Crow used to make a joke about men wouldn't be part of anything if they didn't have something to show for it, like a badge or a felt hat or something. So he felt that he had to give out blankets to the guys. He was a funny guy. One of the other pieces of their teaching is that the center of the universe is wherever you are. You are always the center of the universe. So, the holy mountain is wherever you're standing and you're the center of the universe. And the other piece is all prayers should end with the words, for all my relations. So that means the people that came before and the people that come after. Welcome, Ariel. Give yourself a moment to breathe and write your intention on the paper and light your candle and you can begin. Trying to think of any other pearls of wisdom we have. The Lakota Sioux were very wise people. Very wise. I think that's where Standing Bear comes from. And just so many. When you go to a gathering of people like the Lakota Sioux, everyone will sit forever as long as it takes to get the discussion over with. But the discussion happens like this. Someone starts to talk, and they talk until they're finished. And then there's silence, and everyone integrates what they heard, and then someone else talks, completely uninterrupted for as long as it takes. And that's how they talk. The rattles that you hear in their music, by the way, always signify the number, multiplying the prayers, multiplying the power of the intention by the number of seeds in the gourd. So if you have a gourd with a bunch of seeds in it and you're shaking it, you're taking the intentions and multiplying it by that. That's what the shaking of the gourd is. And the drum is the heartbeat of the earth. So, and when you dance in a circle. That's always the way it goes. And we don't have room for that in us today. There was a time when I felt incredibly small, and I disregarded authority. As I told you before, would passively, aggressively rebel against authority and had no courage to just tell people to their face what I thought of their policies or whatever. And then in my spiritual study, they said that we would have to find a way to express our power. So I found some music, some drum music like this. Someone gave me a shawl, and I danced around the room, feeling like an eagle in flight. And from that point on, I found my power. Sometimes it takes something like that. You can't just think yourself into a power position. You have to convince your body of it as well. And so sometimes moving with the power of the drum, your feet pounding the earth, your arms flying, and your arms flying emphasized by a shawl or a scarf. Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it's a sword. Sometimes it's high heels and a business suit. Whatever it takes to make you feel like you're in your power. You should try it. But the whole body has to participate. Okay. You done, sweetie? Okay, so part of the lesson this weekend started off with a talk on suffering and how it's a choice. So I just want to talk a little bit about that again. Okay, so yay, there we are, represented in all the elements. Okay.
The other direction.
Oh, just I'll flip it the other way. Oh. I mean the one. This way? Yeah. And then put the heavy side in the middle. Okay.
Ariel, put it on the ground. Because you're the last.
Okay.
Good girl. Okay. Okay, so suffering is a choice. I just wanted to review some stuff. This is my process, and maybe by showing you the process that happens, you'll see, number one, it's not magic, but number two, it really leads to some great enlightenment, and enlightenment is a quiet, peaceful thing. It's not, there's no firecrackers, no fireworks that goes off when you're enlightened and awake and aware. You just are quietly at peace with all existence. So I started a prayer altar, candles for prayer, and I haven't done this in a long time, I was saying, because I just looked at my mother, who is just shrinking into nothingness, and she's still hanging on for life for some reason. And I respect whatever that reason is, but it's awfully painful to watch. But that's what life is all about. You have to learn to be comfortable in your pain. If it's painful for you to watch, but it's her process, it's her process. Be comfortable or don't be around her, you know. I fell on Monday and I asked the question, what does falling like this mean? I never see it coming. It's hard enough to knock the wind out of me. I'm unable to remember what happens between the start of the fall and the end of the fall, but I never seriously hurt, and only a couple times were they in public, which I know is humbling, but that's okay. I'm used to being humbled, and that I needed to seek the meaning out. And then yesterday morning, or whenever I wrote this, I had two thoughts. I realize that I fall as if I'm held by unseen hands and I'm eased onto the ground. And if all past, present, and future already exists, I need to choose the outcome I want and find the frequency that makes that outcome likely, and then hold or become that frequency. That frequency is not a number, it's a sense of happiness. It's a sense of peace and contentment. You can dial it up, you can dial it down. But just find out the frequency in a way, or the feeling that you would imagine you would feel if you already had what you already have. What you already have, because all time, all present, past, and future has already happened. So then later in the morning, I saw the video with Sadhguru and Danica Patrick on YouTube, with the takeaway for me being, live on the edge, be as live as you can, be as alive as you can, do not hold back, and we will catch you if you fall. And then Trung, just out of the blue, sends me this picture on the phone. Okay. Now, he and I had no prior discussions or anything, but does anyone want to comment on what this picture means?
Is it catch me if you fall? You know, they're falling and they're reaching out to catch them.
Well, who is he reaching for first?
The elderly male.
And who is he not reaching for? His child and his wife. So what is he doing?
Well, she's holding onto a branch.
Yeah, she is. She is.
Putting his oxygen on first.
He definitely has his oxygen on because he's on safe ground unless he falls. But he's reaching for the past. Do you see? He is attached to the past. So he's going to ignore his present and his future and hang on to the past. That's what Trump got out of this picture.
Is the man above supposed to be him in his youth?
Well, this painting is called the deluge scene. You see a person trying to save his father, completely ignoring his wife and kid who are closer to him. The wife represents the present life, the son the future. The grandfather, on the other hand, represents the past, to which the man clings, thus losing his present life and his future. A perfect metaphor of what many go through on a daily basis, hanging on to the past. You see? Okay. So then the week ends with also coming from Sadhguru, he says we are suffering from freedom. And he also says we're suffering from success. And then I added, and we're suffering from a lack of sickness. Okay, we're not suffering from any particular thing. Even in the moment, if Eva has a backache, and by the way, lay down whenever you need to. Alina's not feeling well. I'm losing my voice for whatever reason, but it'll come back. But we suffer from freedom. This is what we have in this country. We're overwhelmed with the choices. We don't like the fact that even though we have all these choices, there's no guarantee we're going to pick the right one. So then who cares? Then there's competition. We feel like if we don't choose the right thing first, someone's going to get what we want. And we don't even know what we want. And then we have a perception of there's not enough. And then we have a perception of once I get what I get, I'm not going to know how to use it. And then we have a fear of failure and everyone's going to see it. And then we judge ourselves in comparison to others. Or we compare ourselves to our past performances and we're convinced that because we failed in the past, we're going to fail again. Is that so? Is that really so? Then we suffer from success because reality is bigger than you thought. It comes with a price. Success, now you have to manage your success. How do you keep your money from being wasted? How do you keep your money from being scammed by other people? When your life circumstances change, increase or decrease, it happens in your obligations, your responsibilities. With lack of planning, you may end up with nothing. Lack of network and support, isolating yourself because you don't want anyone to take your stuff, then you have no one backing you up either. Okay? When we suffer from a lack of sickness, are we healthy by accident? Are you well? Or are you just surviving by the skin of your teeth? Do you know what foods or factors give you a clear mind? What foods cause brain fog, drowsiness, fatigue? You should know what those foods are. They're medicine. And when you want to be clear, you got to eat those kind of foods before you give a big speech like this. Or whatever it is you're going to do. Are you taking your health for granted? Are you without symptoms just because your body is unable, I wanted to say unable, to respond to invaders. A lot of people say, I've never been sick all my life, and then they come in and they're not feeling well. 4th stage pancreatic cancer. So what has been happening all this time? They had no antibodies that were working. They were worthless. Symptoms occur because your body is fighting something. That's what a symptom is. That's what inflammation is. If you never have inflammation, never have a cough, never have a fever, that may not be a good thing. It may be your body's doing nothing, and all sorts of things are growing in there, and your body's doing nothing. And because you're used to it, and it feels like this every day, you can't tell that you're not as well as you were 10 years ago. You can't tell. So are you healthy, or you're just not sick? We should be aiming for being healthy. Okay. So that's what suffering is. Suffering is a choice. Suffering happens when you look at your present and you say, this should not be. I can't have this. This is not what we should have. Okay. So before we go into meditation, I want us to listen to a song that topped off my week because it kept coming in the back of me. I heard this song, feels like 100 years ago. And it was at Cal State Long Beach with a traveling hula company that is based in San Francisco, and they dance a lot of hula to traditional music as well as to non-traditional music. If you ever want to see some of their work, you can type in, I left my heart in San Francisco, hula on a jet plane. Because what they did was they were all traveling. They put all their members in particular spots on the plane. They had the permission of the pilot and the airline, and they played Tony Bennett's I Left My Heart in San Francisco, and everyone got up one at a time and started dancing the hula to that, and it was truly beautiful. So this one was another hula they did to non-traditional music. So let's see what I find. The words are important, so that's why I have the words up.
Santa Susanna, Santa Cecilia, Santa Coppelia, Santa Dominica, Mary Angelica,
Close your eyes. Get the feeling of the sun.
Santa, Santa, Spirit,
Flat on the ground. Breathe.
a man has played
Isn't that beautiful? Haven't heard that song in such a long time.
I really enjoyed the drum with the shaking this morning, the first that you played.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Oh, good,
It
good.
reminded me, it was like the gongs, you know?
Okay, good,
Good.
good. Okay, so now we're going to do our meditation, and it's for those specific intentions. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of meditations that you should know how to do so that you can lead people through it as well. So let's begin with, which one shall we begin with? Yes, let's begin with the one where we're a big globe of light hanging in the middle of blackness, the ether, and let your light sphere look any way you think it should look. But it's alone in the center there. And then I want you to allow one or two other spheres of light. Let's not limit to at least 4. The most important people who you think you need to give a little bit of your life energy to once in a while, not necessarily all the time. And so see those spheres of light around you, and a string of like an IV tubing of light coming from your sphere to their spheres, and allow your sphere to shrink a little bit while theirs grows a little bit. So just see that as a normal thing. Every time you give them a thought, you're giving them your energy. So hopefully you're not doing much when you're thinking of them. So you can give whatever percentage of yourself you can to them. So let them take a little bit of your light. And then let's purposely cut those cords, please. Cut the cords. Bring the light back into yourself. See their own light moving around. They're free to move now. They're not bonded to you. You're not bonded to them. So let them leave and live their own lives for a while you concentrate on yourself. So now let your sphere of light become bigger again as it regenerates to be 100% of what it's supposed to be. And now notice that around you are part of a circle of lights. So you're not really in the center. The rest of us are in a circle with you in it. So now picture as many spheres. Let's go ahead and make it 10, since there's 9 students and me. I'll make 10. So 10 spheres of light in a big circle. Okay. And let's allow the circle to move in a clockwise position, clockwise direction. You will feel it. And we move slowly over, circling in a clockwise position. All different spheres of light, all together in one circle. The center of the circle may look empty, but in the center of the circle is our intention altar. So I would like you to now send beams of light to the center of the circle from your own sphere. Just a beam of light. You don't have to send words or intention. We're simply giving consciousness and life force to whatever intention is there. Be aware of your breathing, inhaling and exhaling, with a pause in between the inhale and the exhale. And allow the circle to speed up a little bit. So spinning now, and all our spheres of light start to blend into one ring of light, a ring of divine, sacred energy and power. And now our energy and life force is increased by something like the equivalent of 64 people adding their life force. For each person who joins in another person in prayer or intention actually quadruples the power of the intention. So 10 people end up having the power of 64. Now again, pay attention to your breathing and pay more attention to the pause between inhalation and exhalation. In that pause is usually the only moment when our mind stops altogether. So pay attention to that pause. Now I'm starting to get a picture of the center of our circle that is still spinning. It's like many waves coming together and splashing upward like a water mountain. And it splashes up and it splashes down. And it's many rainbow colored lights. like an aurora borealis. And now, as it splashes higher, it comes up and over us, and we become the torus, which is a sacred geometry of the universe. It's just like this big, huge donut of energy that feeds in, out of itself, and then back into itself. It is self-sustaining, like a tree of life. With this huge torus. Still spinning. This is life. This is what we have been given. It's up to us what we do with it. We could fill it with misery. We could fill it with disdain. We can fill it with hopelessness. Or we can fill it with the void, the ether, and the infinite amount of possibilities that really do exist, and our minds cannot even imagine the limits of it. And we just open, at the center of the donut, the torus, we're just open to all possibilities. Who are we to say what should happen to us? Who are we to say what should happen to others? Everything that happens is as it should be. Every soul determines their own destiny, and every soul is part of the one soul. So we simply observe and watch. And we get used to the idea that there's a lot of waiting in our life. Sometimes a lot of suspense and a lot of not knowing. Your job is simply to learn to become comfortable in that space. We're watching a suspense thriller and we want to know the ending, but we don't want to know the ending. If someone told us the ending, we'd be really pissed off. But learn to be comfortable in that little bit of anxiety, anticipation. But also in that is wonder, curiosity, and questioning. Always questioning. The answers bring us to a dead end. Once we think we get an answer, look out, because it's going to get overturned and another question will take its place. But in this gift of life, if at any moment we could lose it, at any moment we can lose it, what frequency would you like to lose it at? Would you like to lose your life at your deepest, most miserable, suffering moment so that you can take up your next incarnation starting there? Or would you like to at least be neutral? Or even above that, content? And even above that, courageous? And even above that, allowing and accepting things to be as they are. Unconditional love, which is what we are. You open your eyes in the morning, you see that you're awake, you notice your bladder is full, go take care of it. You feel like lying down again? Lie down again. You feel hungry? Go take care of it. Every moment of your life you have something to do. There's only one thing you can do at a time. How much planning do you need? How much knowledge of the future do you want? Let us just accept what is in front of us and do what is needed to the best of our ability and be satisfied that sometimes you know exactly what you're doing and sometimes you don't. Be comfortable with the fact that you're impatient. Be comfortable with the fact that you're in suspense. It just is for the moment. Now let the torus dissolve into many, many, many particles, waves and particles. Blend with the ether and let all possibilities be the only thing you know. Okay. I decided to come in old lady style today. My real hair and my lack of it. But I did, this guy called me and he wanted to get rid of this entity that kept bothering him in this house. And it started after he put his cat to sleep. And something would grab at his feet and just, he said it wouldn't hurt him, but it would just like mess with his feet enough to annoy him, and it only would happen to him, not his wife, and it would only happen if you were rested. If you were walking around and doing stuff, nothing would happen. As soon as you put his feet up or sit in a chair or rest in bed, something would play at his feet. So he had already called in the priest, he had already called in the shaman, he had called in this, he called in that. And Kate, the psychic, said, well, try Faye. So I'm not sure if he understands what we did, but we basically used the 4 directions, the 4 elements, the elemental deities, which are called devas, the overriding deva of healing, the deva of nature, the deva of earth creatures. Because I had found out that this was an earth creature. It was not a demon or anything else. And so we basically, I said we have to do it without groveling. We're all equals, but we apologize. We say that we explain what we were doing when we put our cat to sleep. Explain what was in your heart. Apologize. And then I would use our Kabbalistic ritual, and he had to hold the camera in all 4 directions, and I closed the portal between the 2 dimensions. So he said it was better, but he still felt a little bit of something, and I told him, then just act like it's nothing's happening. You have echoes of that and that memory and that anticipation. If you feel that coming on, play some loud music. Get up and dance. Turn on the fan and let the wind blow through the room. But do something to distract yourself. Time will pass, this will all be gone. If you keep thinking about this, it'll call it back. So, Anyway. All right, I'm going to take a short break and then we'll continue. Any comments?
Beautiful meditation.
Yes.
I'm not sure how that was going on.
Just the spinning, but yeah, it's pretty cool.